absolutely. I believe it's a Hollywood contract beard marriage. I
Or
think that Ryan wrote that speech. Her mother is a tyrant.
She was pretty much the same Blake Lively that we see now.
That's how they turned Colleen against him. That's how they turned Isabella against him. All of a sudden, your dream has turned into a nightmare.
Yeah, we've lost some talk.
Hi and welcome to Blossom Talk. I'm Kjersti Flo, journalist, Hollywood truth teller, and your voice of reason in a town built on delusion. So today I have two amazing guests with me. This episode is the juiciest one I've ever done, so you better listen to all of it. Kevin McGinley has worked as a talent agent, a producer, and an entertainment executive for many, many years in Hollywood. He knows so many people. He is a real insider, you guys. And Linet Keshishian went to high school with Blake Lively. She's been covering the drama on her social media platforms ever since she filed the lawsuits. And they have some inside info that you guys never heard before, including me. So please welcome Linet and Kevin. Thank you, Kevin and Linet, for joining Flawsome Talk. This is so amazing. Linet, I've been seeing your Instagram posts. People have sent them to me many times. And you have to watch this. And Kevin, we've spoke on the phone many times already. And you guys are so close to all of this drama. And I'm so excited that you're going to spill some of the tea with all of us today. So, Linet, let's start with you then, because you went to high school with Blake. What was that like?
Well, thank you so much for having me on, by the way. I adore you, and people send me your videos too. But back to high school. What was it like? Well, actually, I'm older than her. We did have class together. We were both in Associated Student Body, ASB. So we were both presidents of our class. So when I was president for senior class, she was president for freshman class. So I'm 3 years her senior. So we did share an hour-long class every day. And to answer your question, she was pretty much the same Blake Lively that we see now. When I first posted about her, I was trying to be super nice, and I was saying that a lot of my classmates are saying that these rumors are true about her, and I wasn't really giving adjectives. But I feel like now, after everything, after she subpoenaed me and all this stuff, I feel like I can use some adjectives. Maybe she was definitely obnoxious. She was definitely, uh, a little bit rude, stuck up kind of vibe. And she thought she was hot stuff. So she was younger. But imagine being in this student government class where every morning we have a meeting and we go around saying our parts. When you get to her, you hear the word salad, just like how you would hear it in an interview, if that gives you a kind of an image of, it's pretty much the same Blake Lively, but a little high school version of her.
Was she popular?
She was popular. She was in cheerleading, and her father paid for her to be in choir. So, and if she was in ASB, technically you get voted in. So her and I were both voted by our peers to get our president position. So she was popular in her class, but she definitely hung out with some not the nicest of girls sometimes, if you catch my drift.
I'm going to throw it out there. Was she the Regina George of Burbank High?
That's a good way to say it. Yeah.
Her family had an acting class in the Valley. Her sister, Lori, was an acting teacher. Her father, Ernie, was an acting teacher, and he actually would do privates with people. And I was actually just talking with Linet about something, that when Beverly Hills 90210 was originally casting its pilot, Robin was offered the role of Andrea Zuckerman, and she turned it down. And if you think about it, how basically how big 90210 became. I mean, they became the Beatles, right? And how different Robin's career may have turned out had she taken that role of Andrea Zuckerman. So I think how different like Robin's career and even 90210 may had been had Robin taken that role. She would have essentially been um what Blake's career
The star.
became because of Gossip Girl. That like
Yeah.
Robin would have had that success before Blake with 90210. And at the time, she was dating Jason Priestley. I've known them since then. I was always of the person that was like, I was never one that was a big Blake Lively fan. I didn't see like what everybody else saw in her. And I would say like, oh, I think Robin is the hotter Lively sister or whatever. I think Robin is the more talented Lively sister.
You were talking about Gossip Girl and that you like knew her from back then. When we spoke on the phone a few days ago, you told me some stuff there that I was like, wow. Like, for example, how Leighton Meester was
Oh,
traumatized by
yes.
Blake.
Let me get into that. You know, she had been doing pilot seasons for many years or whatever, and then she finally got Gossip Girl as one of the bigger, more high-profile pilots of that season. And for any actress or actor to get a pilot, that's like the dream. That's the dream for any actor. And think about this, to like have your dream come true. And then you're in New York, you meet your castmates, you start working, and then all of a sudden your dream has turned into a nightmare because working with Blake was a nightmare for Leighton. Working with Blake was a nightmare for many. It wasn't just Leighton, it wasn't just Ed Westwick or any of the other, you know, cast or even guest stars. There was a ton of guest stars. Army Hammer was basically fired from Gossip Girl. He was hired to do a 6 or 7 episode arc. And basically, he was supposed to play like the love interest to Blake Lively for several episodes. And after 2, allegedly, the rumor was Blake said, "Get him out of here." And so he was let go and dismissed from that role in Gossip Girl because Blake was like, "Get him out of here. I don't want to work with him."
But you said something about her crying, like Leighton Meester was crying, like calling people crying because she was
So
so,
sad.
There were,
yes.
you know, from what I understand, there were definitely times where she called her manager in tears and was like, you know, how does like your dream come true happen? And then, you know, your dream is turned into a nightmare, and the only person that you can turn to is your manager to call in tears and be like, "This is
So
awful.
sad.
This is awful." And, you know, I think it's really interesting that Blake has the audacity to have gone on several of those panels. And as we've all seen, because they've been filmed and repeated and shown now in terms of this supposed smear campaign that she says is happening, where she said, "Oh, well, some of us were born in a cage, and some of us are
That is,
monkeys, and this and that," which were direct digs at Leighton and like what she had gone through, you know? And let me just say this, Leighton is one of the more like, I think that she and Penn were the 2 talented people on that show. They were 2 of the more talented main cast members. Then there was like Michelle Trachtenberg, who had been acting since she was like a very young girl. She was one of the most talented people that was a part of that show, but she wasn't, part of that original cast. And I think a lot of people, have misconstrued a lot of different things because they think that Gossip Girl was Blake Lively's show. And it wasn't. It was Penn Badgley's show.
And then they started dating. I mean, Linet, did you hear this? Like Kevin told me. Exactly. So you also say dating. You don't believe in it either, that they were a
No.
couple?
I believe
I don't.
I believe it was a Hollywood. I believe it was a Hollywood coupling for publicity purposes. Because I have known, like, Penn was a client of James Levy Jacobson's when he was a young kid. He was also a client of a commercial agency that I worked at called JPA. And the guy that owned that agency, John Pierce, was one of the best commercial agents in the business. He had like the best eye in terms of um, pairing young actors, like very cool young actors like Aaron Paul and Penn together with very beautiful models. And he was able to like book them together in all of these campaigns and make them a ton of money. So they were able to like, make a lot of money in residuals in between jobs that they would book. And Penn was always the nicest guy in the world. He was always so kind and so sweet to everybody, very grateful for every job that he ever booked, the coolest. So I just don't see how somebody like that could end up.
Blake would eat him alive.
Yeah.
Blake would eat him alive.
Like it
So
just
did you believe this back then, Linet, that they were a couple? Or did you also always like, no, that was just PR?
It just felt like PR to me too. I don't know.
And now that
Too
we
nice
know
of a
so
guy.
much, and now we know their game so
Yeah.
well, it makes
Yes,
even more
exactly.
sense.
More
If you would have told me that like 2-3 years ago, I would be like, yeah, maybe some are fake, but now I feel like they're all fake. It's like they're
Yeah.
all set up to sell a movie or to sell a TV show.
they
It's
played
very
they
like
played a
cynical.
couple on the show, and I believe that the CW publicity team said it would be great if you guys
Yeah.
were a couple when you're seen outside of this. And that's why it was very easy for her to like dump him very quickly to try to get with Leo in the hopes that she was going to book The Great Gatsby. And when she didn't get The Great Gatsby and Leo and Toby and Baz Luhrmann gave it to Carey Mulligan, she pivoted
Oh.
very quickly to Ben Affleck and The Town and took that role, and to be fair, I think that's the best work she's ever done.
Yeah, I think
Well,
everyone agrees with that kind of. Or you mean having an affair with Ben Affleck was the best work she ever did?
Quite
Or
possibly.
the other ones.
Quite possibly, yes. But I do believe that the work she did in The Town was the best work she's ever done. And, possibly being a backstabbing drug addict could very much be, not acting, if you will, something she knows quite well. Who knows? Allegedly, in my opinion.
in his opinion.
So, Linet, you worked with celebrities as well in this industry doing hair. Have you met any of these people that are involved, except from Blake? Have you met any of the other, or do you know the types that are explained, like all the publicists? I mean, I've been a part of this industry for quite some time, but I didn't know how dirty these things were. Have you been
Yeah.
surprised when you've been, digging into things in your videos?
I mean, I'm fortunate enough to have worked with nice people, and I choose to continue to work with nice people because if anyone gives me the ick, I stay away from them. But of course, there's some nasty, nasty people in the industry, and we've all seen it. And unfortunately, they fall into that category. And I think it's very well known. People I know who I've worked on personally who know either Blake or Ryan or who have worked with them or have been on set with them all say the same thing. I've heard the story over and over again. She's a nightmare to work with. She's a nightmare to work with. However, I must say I have heard repeatedly that Ryan is very intelligent, but kind of a jerk, you know, kind of a douche, or as
He
we like to
I
call him, doucheball.
I
Yeah,
feel like he hid his douchiness very well for journalists because I thought he was a really nice guy. But
yeah,
then I've heard from people, even from someone in Sony not too long ago, who said that both of them are a nightmare and not because of
yeah.
this lawsuit. So, Kevin, have you heard things about Ryan Reynolds in the industry before this? Did he have a good reputation as far as you know?
Uh, what he has become, I have never seen another actor in the 25 years I've been in the business the way I am, but I also grew up in it. I've never seen an actor embrace the ego that he's embraced, the egomaniac that he has become. I've never seen another actor embrace that and embody it. I've worked with so many different actors over my career, and I have never seen anybody like um have the kind of ego or even be fed the kind of ego that Ryan has, that he's running with now. It's absolutely crazy and ludicrous. And you and I had talked, and what was it that you had asked me?
You were talking about the yeah, you were talking about the depositions of these talent agents
That
that were close to
that
Blake, and one that had, and Justin Baldoni's ex manager who was
Mm-hmm.
fired
that's what I'm
right
yes,
after. And
yes.
if they're telling the truth in their depositions, and you were like,
Here's here's the
mm.
truth. Here's the truth, okay? A lie isn't a lie if you believe it's true. And if anybody thinks that Justin Greystone or Warren Zavala are gonna be deposed, if you will, or any of these things, and risk losing hundreds of thousands of dollars in commission or risk their career in any way by not playing the game, then you're just crazy and you don't know how the world works, right? There's this scene in The Social Network where you know, they say something like um well then I guess, you know, they'll be the first person that will ever have lied, during a deposition or something like that, which is the joke because clearly people lie during depositions. People lie when they are on the stand and they are being asked questions if it doesn't benefit them. And there is also all of these people. And look, I think it's great that people are following this case because what Blake Lively has tried to do in silencing people and silencing creators that are trying to speak out, I think it's so important that people are and this is one of the reasons I agreed to do this for Lynette and for you, Kirsty, because I think what she did to you is so disgusting. I think what she did to you is so vile because what a lot of people don't understand is that you're there to help them sell that movie. You were
Yeah,
there to help them sell that
absolutely.
Woody Allen movie. And her ego is so big and her ego is so like harsh that she decided, I don't need you. I don't care that you want to help sell this movie. I'm just going to bully you and I'm going to talk down to you because I feel like you're less than me. And when you released that, I was so happy for you. I was like, good for you. Good for you for fighting back. And who knew that it would get the kind of traction that it did? But to me, that's why I reached out to you, because to me, I was like, Kirsty, I think this was so strong of you and so amazing. And then ultimately, look, you've grown this channel that you've had off of it, which of course she now thinks is a smear campaign or whatever. I haven't been a talent agent or a talent manager in many years, but I'm so supportive of what you've done, Kirsty. And Lynette, I've known for many years. We have mutual friends that go back to her us being in our 20s, basically. We have
Mhm.
mutual friends. And you know, some of the people that I've worked with that are friends of mine, like Aaron Paul, is one of, he plays obviously a badass from Breaking Bad, right?
Yeah.
But a
Yeah.
more sweeter, nicer man you couldn't know in the world. Like, that is
That's
who Aaron
nice
really
to know.
is. Yeah,
Yeah, that there are good people.
I
But
mean,
Lynette, you
Mhm.
have to talk about because you were subpoenaed as well, and you
Yeah.
didn't even realize it, right?
Yeah, I think I realized it 2 weeks too late. Uh, all of you guys were posting about it and things, and I kept seeing it, but for some reason I didn't think to check my email. And it went to a Gmail account because it was a YouTube subpoena. So it went to a Gmail account that I don't check. And then people started tagging me and asking me in my comments, why haven't you been subpoenaed? Why haven't, you talked about her in high school. And it was so funny because I went back and actually looked at that original video that went viral about me talking about going to high school with her. And even back then, people were saying, be careful, she might sue you. Be careful, she might come after you. It's really funny if you go read the comments. And there's tons of comments also about how she was a terror in high school and how teachers would even talk about her being a terror, as well as her mother. They would talk about Blake's mother isn't great, and teachers. Anyway, there's fun comments. Anyone who's interested can go read. But I had no idea. And so finally, someone's comment made me go check my Gmail, and I put in the words Google subpoena, and boom, there it was. You've been subpoenaed by Blake Lively et al. Blah 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 blah. I, I was like, and I was in my son's jujitsu class, and I ran out and I did a little video. I said, "Well, I guess I'm one of the first 14 content creators," and I was pretty surprised. And I don't understand the rhyme or reason and the logic behind who was chosen. Um, but I really pissed them off. I think I've done so many deep dives on both Ryan and Blake that I really hit some nerves, and maybe that's why they chose me too.
I
I don't
love
know.
that, everyone that was subpoenaed just kept talking about them. It was just like they fueled it even more. And now we all feel like, okay, it's more important than ever to,
Mhm.
speak our minds. But so you talked about so you posted a video back then. When did you post the video about Blake Lively and your experience with her in high school? Was that around the time of the premiere of the film, or was
It
it
was
later?
I think it was January, end of January. And I
So
just
after
happened
she filed
to
this lawsuit.
yes.
Mm.
And it was kind of where
moving
some
right
people were
past.
still on her side. Some people were still, you know, believing her and others weren't. And it was like on the cusp. And so my comments were mixed reviews of things. And then I did a few more videos where I showed, my yearbook and things like that and answered questions people kept asking me. And slowly, I saw the comments changing and changing toward more of no one was believing her anymore. And people wanted to know more, And so that's kind of how it
So
all.
did you post it before Justin Baldoni has come out with his lawsuit? So we started to realizing, okay, maybe it's not one-sided here the way it's presented in the New York Times, or did you
No,
publish it after?
it was after, but it was, still, there were still comments in there. Mostly people were against her, but there were still some comments in there saying like, well, Justin did this and Justin did that. No, I don't think so. And what
And
prompted me to even post it was in my own personal social media, Instagram, I saw some classmates defending her while others were talking about her. And I thought, that's weird. They're all talking about Blake. So I started looking more into it. And then I decided to just post after
and
talking to some classmates.
and then you started like doing more like frequent reports on her, right? Was that
Yeah,
after that? Was that what triggered it? And like, okay, now I'm interested in this case. I'm going to jump
yeah.
on this as well and have opinions about what's going on in this legal war.
Yeah, it kind of just, I honestly didn't expect it to go that viral, and it did. And then I just kind of thought, well, this is interesting and fun, and started looking more and more into the case, posting more and more about it. And now I'm a regular, I guess. So it captured a part of, it's just so wrong on so many levels that it keeps you intrigued and you just want to see the good guy win. But who knows what will happen? I mean, we've seen, it's wild,
Yeah.
all the ups
I
and
think
downs we've seen.
Yeah, and I think it's so discouraging for me coming from a media background as a journalist. I think it's so disappointing to see how the media is reporting on this because
Yes.
I trusted the media up to a certain point. Certain outlets, it's not that trustworthy, but in general, I've trusted newspapers and their reporting. And now I see like, wow, either it's really lazy
Yeah.
or they're being fed this news by Blake Lively's team.
Hmm.
So, anyways,
I think
welcome
it's
back, Kevin.
both.
Yeah. So let's talk about because you were talking about that speech that Blake Lively had on a Times 100 most influential gala, Kevin, and you said that you didn't believe anything she said in that speech. Can you talk about that? Why you don't believe any of it is true?
I absolutely will. And sorry, I just wanted to. Sorry about that. I needed to just make sure I could plug. My battery was dying, so I had to make sure I could plug in. So, you know, her mother has always been known as a tyrant, like
Mhm.
as a manager. And you even interviewed my friend Carrie Wurr, and I thought that was,
Oh, she's your friend. Oh,
well,
I didn't know
she's
that.
someone
That's
I've known
cool.
forever. She's amazing. Um, and you interviewed someone that was one of Blake's mother's clients, right?
Alicia Cooper.
Yeah.
Yes.
And as a talent manager, she's not somebody that was known as like a great talent manager. She's someone that utilized Robin or Jason when he was acting, which was Robin's brother. He played one of the Griswold children in one of the National Lampoon's like vacation movies back in the 80s or whatever, right? And she was just always known in the same way as like Kit Culkin, like Macaulay Culkin and Kieran Culkin's dad, as someone that had no interest or she had no reason being a talent manager. She didn't know what to do, but so that she could take 15% of those earnings, right? She coined herself a talent manager and then tried being one. And that's why she wasn't a successful talent manager for the person that you interviewed or for anybody else that she tried to be a talent manager for, right? Like, you know,
But what about the speech though? So tell us why don't you believe that she was traumatized or harassed or whatever was the story that Blake was telling? Someone said it was about a coworker
I
or
think that Ryan wrote that speech. I think it was all completely fabricated. I think that there wasn't anything true about it. Allegedly, in my opinion, like whatever. But there's a certain saying that I think is amazing, right? And it's this: facts are not defamation. And so when you're speaking the truth, that's not defamation. Now, unfortunately, people like Blake, clearly, as they've shown, have tons of money to throw
Mhm.
at people. And what I think that they are hoping for is that they could, sue whomever that doesn't have the money to fight back, and then they'll lose or whatever, right? Like in a default judgment or what have you. But, that speech that Blake made is so comical in terms of the fact that she would utilize real victims, right? Like people who are real victims of domestic violence and things of that nature, and then say that her mother was one of those people, when in reality, her mother is a tyrant. Her mother is the reason that she acts
Mhm.
the way that she does. Because this isn't learned behavior. Like, she didn't just pick this up one day. This is who Blake
Mhm.
has been her entire life, at least I believe, you know? And
I believe it too.
when you see how she treated Leighton, on those panels, and how she treated Leighton on set. And like I said, Leighton Meester is an extremely talented young actress, like an extremely talented actress now. She's also an extremely talented singer. I think that Blake is so jealous of the talent that Leighton had that that's why she lashed out at Leighton in those ways. I also think when you look at the relationship that Adam Brody and Leighton have together, that she wishes that that was the
Mhm.
kind of relationship that her and Ryan had or have, which is a very real, loving, like marriage and relationship, because that's not the relationship that her and Ryan have. And I'll go so far as to say things that, you know, Lynette and I have spoken about, where I don't believe their marriage is real. I believe it's a
Really?
Oh, absolutely. I believe it's a Hollywood contract beard marriage.
Beard marriage.
Absolutely. I believe it's a beard marriage,
Wow.
and I think it's not the first, right?
It wouldn't be the first or the last. Yeah.
Right.
But having 4 children and faking all of that?
That's all part of it. Like, that goes into those contracts. Like, it's like if you have one kid, you get X amount of millions of dollars. If you have two kids, you get X amount of millions of dollars. And you keep going, because that only helps with, you know, that ruse, if you will, right? And
Wow.
I think that maybe Scarlett was talked into, like, hey, how do you feel about, this marriage with Ryan, whatever. And I think she was like, okay, like
Nope.
I'm into it. I'll try it. And I think she was like, what a fucking egomaniac. Like, I don't want to be a part of this. Like, I'm out, like I'm out, because
But you're saying a beard, like a beard for like to cover up that he's really into men?
I think that him, I think he likes his co-star Wolverine so much more than he likes his co-star Dead or Lady Pool. That's what I think. What do you think, Lynette?
Wow. Yeah, what do you
we,
think, Lynette?
I mean, Kevin and I have talked about this so many times, and we laugh and joke about it. But I can totally see it being the case. It happens a lot. It happens a lot in the industry, and I mean, Kevin's seen it a ton, and like, it wouldn't. Have you watched his interviews? Have you? Come on, guys.
Oh, the two of them
Okay,
together.
I'll
Tell her, like,
I mean,
explain, Lynette.
I mean, when you watch the two of them together, do you guys ever feel a sense of
Romance?
romance and chemistry? I mean, I see more of that when he's speaking about or to male, you know, Wolverine, or there's
I
so
mean,
many.
the rumors about Hugh Jackman has been there for a long, long
Yep.
time.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, but yeah, well, I don't know. We have to just say allegedly to all of this.
Allegedly,
But
in
we are
our
allowed to have
opinions.
our opinions as long as we believe them to be
Absolutely.
true. You can say whatever you want. We've learned that from this lawsuit.
And that's the thing. That's the thing that I think people are picking up from this lawsuit. But there's also things I think that people are reading into things because they're not attorneys. They don't understand legal complexities. And so there's something that I've told you, Kirsty, and Lynette, you and I have talked about, and it's how
Yep.
this Judge Lyman, people think that he favors Blake because his brother Doug Lyman once filmed a 30-second spot with Penn and
Commercial.
her that was like a pro Barack Obama, like vote Democrat spot back in like 2009 or something, right? That's the only time, that they've ever worked together. But let's look at it another way, okay? Doug Lyman was the director of the pilot of the OC. He was also, because he was the director of the pilot of the OC, he was also the executive producer of that first season and that first episode of the OC. So he was instrumental in casting Adam Brody as the role of Seth Cohen, right? He also directed Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which at the time was a huge, huge movie with Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, essentially two of the biggest movie stars in the world, right? And who did he handpick to star in that movie? Was Adam Brody. And that was Adam's like biggest first like Hollywood blockbuster movie coming off the OC. So why anybody would think that, Doug Lyman's loyalty would somehow all of the sudden be with Big Bird Blake, and Ryan, when for 20 years he's been, the champion of Adam Brody, who's married to Leighton Meester, who Big Bird Blake has made her life a living hell. Like, that does not make sense to me. And I don't think anybody that's doing that research about this judge has connected those dots and seen it. They've only just seen, oh, well, Doug Lyman worked with Blake this one time. Like, oh, please, he worked with her on a commercial for 10 seconds. Like, he actually, is responsible for Adam Brody's career. And I think there's this really cute meme where it's like when Seth Cohen and Blair Waldorf ended up becoming a couple in real life, right? Because they did, and they got married and they have a great family. And, I've known Adam. He was really good. Like, so Rachel Bilson, when he was with Rachel Bilson, she was a client of JPA's. She was also best friends with my friend Veronique Vicari. They all went to high school together. So I've spent time with Adam. He is one of the nicest, again, like Penn Badgley. He is one of the nicest, sweetest, most down to earth guys, brilliant actor, like really great guy. And that's why I'm like, him and Leighton make sense because she is also like an amazing person, really down to earth, really sweet girl. Ryan,
I have to ask it. Yeah.
Ryan and Blake,
no, I just
opposite of that. They are these tyrants. They are these like horrible people. And you actually, like one day during one of your episodes, you showed how 80% of their 200 million followers on Instagram or something are all fake
Yeah.
followers,
Bots.
right? Like,
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me that she would have. How would she have like 45 million followers? I think Leighton Meester has 5. That makes sense. How can Blake
Mhm.
have 45 million followers? A lot of the people that commented on my viral video, they were like, who is she? Like, how would she
Yeah.
have that amount of followers? She hasn't been in that many movies.
No.
She's not like a huge fashion influencer. She's been pregnant a lot and have a lot of kids. So she stayed out of the public eye a lot. So where does all these followers come from? They're not teenage girls anymore because the Gossip Girl generation has grown up. So I don't believe that. But we have to get into one more thing that we spoke about, Kevin, because we did speak about your idea or theory of what you think, how you think this whole scheme went down with Colin Hoover
oh,
involved,
yes, that was
and what you think they were going to do with the
okay.
prequel and all that
Yes,
stuff.
this is good.
Something that I never even thought about. So you have to share that.
So I'm glad you brought that up because this was something I was definitely waiting to say. And I think a lot of people obviously have this misconstrued. And this is just coming from someone who's had, I've had deals with production companies. My ex and I had a media company that we sold to a billionaire for a large amount of money. And so I understand how certain IP and certain things work, right? So the IP for this sequel that Justin had for It Begins With Us or whatever it was,
It starts with us. Yeah.
Starts With
It starts
Us or
with us.
whatever. The idea that that would have been made into another movie that Blake wouldn't have even been in because it doesn't involve her character, right? Justin wouldn't have been in it because it doesn't involve his character. This would have been something that only involves Isabella and the character of young Atlas, right? And what I believe they wanted that intellectual property, what they wanted to do with it was once they were able to get control of that property from Justin, they could then take it to Netflix and pitch it as a series. And as a series, like coming off the success of that movie, it would have been worth tens of millions of dollars to Blake and Ryan as executive producers only. They would have had to do absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
They would have just had to get a hold of that intellectual property so it was then theirs and it wasn't Justin's anymore. That's how they turned Colleen against him. That's how they turned Isabella against him by telling her, Isabella, we're going to pitch this to Netflix and make it a streaming series that could possibly be 1 season, it could be 2 seasons, maybe even 3 seasons if it's a hit, but it will make you a millionaire. I don't think
Yep.
people understand that Isabella didn't make any money in this movie. She didn't even make top of show or schedule F is really what it's called when it's a film, which is about $65,000, which is the minimum amount of money that unless you're a star, you get paid to do a film, right? She got paid a day rate and maybe she got paid like because of who her manager is Emily Gerson-Sains, and she also has an extremely good agent named Sarah Fargo at Paradigm in New York. Maybe they got her a really good day rate. I don't know the specifics, but if I was her agent, I would have got, and they wouldn't have offered Schedule F. I would have gotten her something like $2,500 a day. And if she worked 4 days, that means she made $10,000
Wow.
for her
Yeah.
entire shoot. on It Ends With.
But they did have those sleepovers where she was maybe promised this show,
So
right?
during these sleepovers, I believe Blake told her, if we can get this IP away from Justin, and this is what we're going to do, Ryan and I already have plans to turn it into like a streaming series where you'll reprise that role, and then you'll be paid something like 35, 40,000, maybe even $50,000 an episode. And if they're 8, 10, 12 episode seasons, that's $600,000. I mean, that's
Can I
real.
ask a quick
That's
question?
real
Yeah,
money.
ask a question, Linet. Yeah.
So now that I call her Timu Blake, but Isabella,
Let's call
if
let's
she
call her Timu Big Bird, Isabella. Absolutely.
Timu Big Bird,
Big Bird.
I have my little nicknames that we like to. So Timu Big Bird, recently said that Justin Baldoni also is harassing her, and she's really holding to this position, right? Do you think she still has some sort of hope that maybe something will come out of it, or they'll give her something else, and that's why she's holding on to it and recently saying,
I don't think so anymore because of everything that's happened now. First of all, there is no way Justin will ever give up this intellectual property. And in fact, I don't even think it's up to him anymore. It's going to be up to Steve Sarowitz and these people, right?
fair.
And they will never in a million years give that intellectual property up. It will.
But if she sticks to her guns, maybe Blake and Ryan can give her another role, or Ryan.
Yeah.
Maybe
I feel-
if she holds on to this position of
Yeah, she's already doubled down too much to backtrack.
double down.
And she will lie on the stand as well. She will lie in her deposition as well. And there's people that they're not asking the right questions of. There's people that need to be deposed and need to be asked questions of that nobody's bringing up. And here's a very interesting juxtaposition that I think, Kirsty, you and I have talked about, and Linet, you and I have talked about it as well. But Justin's original manager was this really sort of scumbaggy person named Mara Santino. And she is a piece of work, let me tell you. She's
also Alex's.
She's something else. And she is also
Alex, who played young Atlas.
Yes.
She's also
same manager.
He is his manager as well. Now, I don't know if this is true. I am only speculating, but I'm guessing that she called Justin and said, Justin, I have someone you should see to play the young Atlas. He would be great. Look at his tape. And maybe Justin, because she was Justin's manager originally, was like, oh, sure. Like, she saw in me, like, my talent. Like, maybe I'll look at the tape, saw that she was right. He was a good young Atlas. And so he did hire her, or he did hire Alex as the young Atlas. But I find it very interesting that he has not spoken, and he's also not been subpoenaed, and he's also not been talked about by anybody. They're only talking about Isabella. Why are we not talking about Alex? Why are we not talking about the young Atlas? Because he was on set just as many days as Isabella was. They worked together.
And they're still together all the
the
time.
same.
Yes, and you think they're even dating?
I think so,
real?
because yeah, I did a super big deep dive. I looked up a lot of things, and people send me things all the time, and there's a lot of social media content. There's photos of them on vacations together, visiting family together. Do you do that with just a buddy, or more of a, significant
so
other?
much.
I think they're dating. I think they're dating.
I think
And
I think they're dating.
Brendan Sklenar as well, because now we see like how the fruition has come to life, or whatever you say. For him being in the Another Simple Favor director,
Paul Feig.
Paul Feig's
Paul
movie,
Feig. Yes.
who is bestie with Blake. So you can see how they're working their way around and how he's getting more parts because of that. So, anyways, last thing I just wanted to mention quickly, because you told me something interesting, just to put some of the perspective into perspective of how this family dynamic is, because you said, Kevin, that
I think
Robin
I know
Lively,
where this is going. Yes,
is
yes.
now is
Yeah.
now married to her sister's ex-boyfriend. That is really
Yep.
weird.
This is true. So before Bart Johnson was with Robin Lively, he was with Lori Lively, and they were together for quite a
Yep.
long time. And then after Robin did the show Savannah, which was an early WB show that was around the time of like Dawson's Creek and that era,
Hmm.
Robin had a show called Savannah. You know, Lynette, you and I have talked about why these women from the Valley fancy themselves these Southern belles or something. It's absolutely ludicrous. Like, it's so
Yeah.
crazy. But yeah, my friend Phil Waller, an old, we haven't known each other in years, but an older friend of mine named Phil Waller used to joke with me about how lucky Bart Johnson was because he had Lori Lively before he ended up with Robin Lively. And he was like, like Lori's hotter than Robin. So, like, who'd kill to be Bart Johnson? And I was just like, geez, I guess you're right. Like, wow. And what
Wow.
I
And now they're one big happy family.
Yeah, like, I guess
Apparently.
keep it in the
So weird.
family, right? Keep it in the family.
Keep
Right?
it in the
All right,
family.
you guys, this has gone on for an hour now, so I have to like cut it off. Maybe we have to do a part 2, because this was amazing. You guys are so much fun and so much juicy like inside info and tea. I really, really appreciate this so much. And
Yeah.
yeah, is there anything you want to say before we leave? I'll leave link in the description for you guys so people can contact you or
Thank you.
whatever. And
Well,
yeah,
I
any
would
last words?
I would just like to say, if it's okay, I'd like to shout out to you know, Josh Schwartz, who was the creator of the OC, the creator of Gossip Girl, and there was a Gossip Girl spinoff called Valley Girls. And the Penn Badgley character of Valley Girls was played by one of my best friends, Shiloh Fernandez, who is an amazingly talented young actor. Everybody, please look up Shiloh Fernandez. He is just such an amazing human being overall, but also such a talented young actor. He's about to be in Chris Nolan's Odyssey with every other amazing person in the world. And also, as I've said, Aaron Paul, who is someone I've known for years, another just amazingly talented actor who, is such a really good person. And when it comes to Hollywood and actors, you never really know like who's who's really a genuine good person and who's the Blake Lively's or the Ryan Reynolds of the world, right? And
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Aaron Paul, Shiloh Fernandez, and several others that I worked with that I've told you about, just amazing people. So please, follow them, support them, and um,
It's good to know that there are good people still out there.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, and
Linet, you,
Kirsty, you specifically and what you've done with your show, I just think it's been so brave and so awesome. And so everybody, please
thank you.
support Kirsty Floss, support Flossom Talk, support Sweet and Salty Lynn. She brings you the tea.
Yes.
And
Thank you.
Yeah.
both of these two women right here, they have the truth. They bring the inside truth, and like they bring it to you like factual beyond anybody else that I think's out there. That's like, if you're not willing to say your sources, if you're not willing to say like, the names of what you've worked on or what you've done, but you're claiming to be a Hollywood insider and you're claiming to be this big person, I don't hold a lot of weight in that. And just like I came on here for you guys and I've said, Bonnie Likey is the person that hired me, and John Pierce is the person that hired me, and Randy James, who is an amazing talent manager, and he was also the head of casting for NBC and discovered many huge people. These are all people that hired me and helped my dreams come true and helped me become an agent and a manager and ultimately a producer. And there's things that I've gotten to do in my life that it wasn't for them, you know. I owe them so much. And Kirsty Flaw, you are one of those people that are bringing the truth. And of course,
Thank you.
Linet Keshishian, you are one of those people that are bringing the truth. And anyone that's not
Thank
willing to
you.
bring, names and bring like what they've done, I wouldn't hold so much credit for what they're saying personally. That's just
Thank you,
where
guys.
I'm gonna
Thank
leave
you,
it.
Kevin, so much for those sweet
Thank
words.
you, Kirsty. Thank you,
And
Kevin.
thank you, Lynette. I hope I get
Yeah.
you back on here soon, as I said, because this was great. You guys are amazing. I love that you're being so honest and open and sharing everything. And
Well,
yes,
I'm
thank
also
you.
doing this from London. I'm here in the UK, and
Yes.
it's
It's like so late.
what is it?
Yeah.
Thank you, Kevin, for staying up for us.
It's midnight here, but
Thank you.
anytime you'd like to do this again as the case progresses and there is more that comes up, please let's do this again. I'd love to.
Thank you so much to Lynette and Kevin for being here on Flossom Talk. If you weren't shocked by all of this, then I don't know. Anyways, thanks for watching, and please subscribe if you haven't, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode of Flossom Talk. And I'll see you next time.
Yeah, we
Bye.
Flossom Talk.